Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Mental Brew podcast. Today we have Zak Moradi here with us. Zak, how are you, bud?
All good, all good. Thanks for having me on.
Come here now. Thanks for coming on. As I said off air, there's only one set question in this podcast, and here it is. So, Zak, why do you do what you do?
Um, Jesus, you asked me that question before. It was the first one. Um, I just, I just love what I do anyway. In general, I love playing sports. I love watching GAA in Croke Park.
Mm,
Kind of I missed the GAA season. To be honest with
yeah,
you. I kind of, every weekend used to have something to look forward to on. Going to Crow Park, would it be hurling or football every single weekend? And I was at every single match nearly this year in Croker, hurling,
really?
football, yeah. And I think this was one of the best year I actually enjoyed. I think maybe the football standard of football got a little bit better maybe with the new rules.
Yeah,
Um, like if you compare it to last year, and obviously probably with the hurling as well, someone new winning it.
yeah.
So it was good atmosphere this year.
And you obviously have a very kind of unique and interesting backstory, which we'll get into. And in terms of, I suppose, what you're doing in terms of outside of sport, I suppose, what do you do to keep yourself busy these days? Obviously, we talked. You have the documentary. You've released a book. So, what else do you do outside of sport?
I work in Zoetis Pharmaceutical for the last 9 years now, nearly 9 years, yeah. And I well, obviously I had a book out there about 2022. So that kind of has kept me good bit busy as well, and got a documentary out of that, and
Brilliant.
and so I've kind of been busy going around schools, doing talks, and obviously now lately showing the documentaries. A lot of schools have been on to me to showing the documentary and they're doing a talk. And obviously I've, you know, been busy playing sports as well. I was playing with their intermediate footballers this year. I didn't have a great year either. Well, I wanted to play junior, but I was ineligible for that, so I
Okay.
wasn't playing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And so I was kind of just being busy and playing hurling with Thomas Davis, and then obviously all this kind of just you just do be busy then, between
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
Well, and
Brilliant.
so I'll probably get involved with under seven hurling team for next year now, and get involved with another team. So I don't know what team I'm going to get involved, but I'll be getting involved with a team next year.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay. That's brilliant. And obviously enough, I suppose we'll get straight into it now, but I suppose how did you end up in Ireland? And I suppose what age did you end up coming to Ireland?
I ended up when I was 11,
Okay.
so 1st of July 2002.
Wow,
Uh,
okay. And I suppose
so
what was your experience as a I suppose as a young child growing up in I suppose a difficult region and obviously kind of going through what you kind of went through?
as a young child, I remember I was always a happy kid.
Yeah.
Um, but we wouldn't have probably had the same experience that a lot of my nephew and nieces that would have bringing up. It's
Yeah.
if you're trying to compare, everything is handed to them these days. They don't have to
Yeah.
work. But it was different. Obviously, we were born in refugee camps, so it was probably a uh, difficult life for my parents, and but they tried everything. They kept the family together,
Yeah.
and and I kind of remember my dad used to always, sometimes he'd go to work, he'd be driving trucks for an oil company. Sometimes you wouldn't see him for 2 weeks, and he'd be going all around Iraq.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so it's kind of, trying to look back, Jesus, but he went out and trying to raise a few quid
Yeah.
to look after his 11 kids, obviously big family, have 8 brothers and 2 sisters.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, it's been a long journey when I tried to if I was going away for imagine trying to go away for a week here if I trying to ask your girlfriend to move to World War Two.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, I always thought that my dad was a hard worker, you know. He kind of worked all these lives since he was a kid,
Mm.
and um he always says you have to work for it to earn your money, you know. Nothing's ever handed to you in life. Um
Would that have kind of shaped, the way it was your outlook with things and, down the line in terms of, even the people you interact with, whether it be nieces, nephews, kids, or whatever else, has that kind of shaped how, I suppose, you view the world essentially? That there's nothing wrong with a hard day's work and all that kind of crack.
it's you know what? It's different, you know, because I've got me nephews, you know, they'd be 15, 16. I would get them summer jobs. They're just I've noticed some of the young fellas just have no, but they're all the same. I've noticed that some of them have
Yeah.
no interest in work. I don't know what it is. I think it's because the parents, you know, they hand them everything because maybe they didn't have it the previous
Yeah. Okay.
when they were a kid. But I think the same with a lot of Irish parents as well. So it's similar with that generation as well. You know, I think
Mm.
maybe I don't know. Maybe it's in the cities a lot different to country lads. You know,
Yeah.
country tend to be you know, they're nearly told to get out and work, or if their parents have a farm, they're told to work. You know the way they've no choice. You know the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, get up and get out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's they're nearly yeah. So it's yeah. This that's why I always kind of notice nearly the country lads always seem to be better worker than the city people.
Okay. And
Mm.
how did you end up in Ireland? Like what obviously it was probably your parents' decision, but like can you remember what it was like, the journey or even getting here for the first 6 months, 12 months, 18 months?
Well, we came here as a program refugee.
Okay.
Uh, so we kind of on like we waited for like I think 10, 11 years to be on a waiting list, and you go for interviews. You have to go through the whole process of coming to the country. So it wasn't like we came on a boat or a back of a truck.
Yeah.
So we went through the whole a proper system, you know, where we got accepted to come to Ireland. But look, I didn't know what Ireland was, to be honest. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hadn't where I was going when I was a kid. So I thought we were going to England or America or somewhere. I hadn't a really clue, to be honest. I never heard of Ireland. I wouldn't like to. Um,
Things have
um,
changed today.
things, you know, so we wouldn't have learned much about Ireland. We would only learn when you were in school. It was always about America or England, or
Yeah.
war, or Iraq,
Yeah.
or Iran. You know, we kind of they were the names we would have heard. Like I would have even never heard of Kuwait or anything like that, or any Qatar. I would have never heard of them countries because they'll never talk about it. You know the way
Yeah.
always be about Iraq, how great it was. You know, so it was. You would have like even when you watch TV, you think Iraq was winning a World Cup of soccer. You know the way because that's
Yeah. Yeah.
propaganda country. You know, it's a dictator.
Yeah.
That time was a dictatorship. It's like, you know, it's like now when I watch some of the stuff on, you know, you see North Korea, some of the propaganda, it's just like that was Iraq, just same over.
Yeah.
Um, and like how one man in North Korea controls the whole of 36 million, what, but 36 million
Yeah.
North Saddam was the same. He controlled the whole of Iraq with an iron fist. But it was just mad, you know, people, how one man can control 30 odd million people and put everybody in fair. And everybody did live in fair in Iraq. And it wasn't only us in the refugee camp,
Yeah.
but it was kind of like everybody was kind of looking over their shoulder for no reason. Uh,
Yeah.
so it was that kind of fair because you're watching TV, you would have been just watching Saddam Hussein. There's 24 said I think it's only like two TV channels, Iraqi TV or three. But them two TV stations would have been only Saddam Hussein, and he just looked the part with his security guards and his palaces. It was just like you'd be just anytime you turn on the TV, it'd be him
Yeah.
or, or it'd be singers on singing about him. You
Okay.
know?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a 24/7, so kind of shoved down your throat kind of job.
Yeah, it was kind of like you were just fed with propaganda stuff, you know. And
Yeah.
a child as well, you kind of he would have been my hero now when I was a kid. I would have wanted to be him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was
Yeah.
just statue of him everywhere in Iraq, just pictures of there was like even I remember I seen 2001 and he made a joke. It was like if your TV's broke, just stick a picture of me in front of it. We
Okay.
was telling the Iraqi people that
Yeah.
Kurdish in all the 2030. But it was just, but he thought it was funny, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was funny too now, you know.
And
But
have you got back to Iraq since you kind of obviously
well, I
moved
think
over here?
well, I was when I was doing the documentary, went back to Kurdistan of it was in Kurdistan of well, it's sometimes people don't know where Kurdistan, but we're part of so Kurdistan of Iraq is kind of it's a regional government, you know.
Okay.
There of Iraq, but it's a two system. It kind of reminds me a bit like how you have Hong Kong and then you have China, but it's one system. But it's
Okay.
two countries, one system, you know, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of probably similarity to you know to that kind of but in Kurdistan is they would have their own police force, Peshmerga they would call them the army,
Yeah.
their own government, their own president. So it's actually a country, you know, like as I always tell people, oh, but it's not in the map or this. Well, I'm like, look, people, I didn't create Kurdistan, you know,
Yeah.
God created it. It's there thousands of years. You know, if you go back in history, you know, we are there before many nations. You know, we would like, you know, Kurdistan is there like going back thousands of years. It was Mesopotamia. You go back, you know, it's there. It's like we're an ancient people. We're there thousands of years, and our people were always self-sufficient people as well. You
Yeah.
know. And like I didn't come up with said I'm a Kurd from Kurdistan, but I said when I talk to people there, say I'm Iraqi, but I'm like, okay, Britain created you. There was no such thing as Iraq,
Okay.
you know. You
Yeah.
know, someone said I'm from Saudi Arabia, and we have this kind of conversation where I meet people from the Middle East. Sometimes they're proud as they say I'm an Iraqi, but I'm like I'm proud I'm from Kurdistan, you know, and they kind of look at you with two heads, you know. It's nearly an insult to them when I say I'm a Kurdistan. They want to hear that I'm a Kurd from Iraq. I'm like, no, I'm not a Kurd from Iraq. I'm a Kurd from Kurdistan. I,
Yeah.
s- I said, our people live under occupation.
Okay.
That's since 1923, late 1923, when Britain and France in the Treaty of Sèvres created use, because the reason I said sometimes I like teaching some people a bit of history about Kurdistan, you know, so the reason Kurdistan was divided into four is between a part of Iraq, Iran, Turkey, and Syria. I says because when you look at history, when you read about history, it's because Kurdistan we have a lot of oil and resources, and at that time, not many of them have them because if they would have created an independent Kurdistan we would have been the superpower like China or Russia today. We would
Okay.
have been the superpower back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we would have controlled all the resources. So they decided cut into four different parts, and it's been a headache in the Middle East since. And it just the reason is our people are looking just for a treat, you know, to be treated equally, you know. And
Mm.
so I kind of understand a bit about Northern Ireland when I looked at the history as well, you know, when you go back obviously as well. I know like in Ireland you're going back to, you know, probably, you know, I know sometimes people go back to 800 years, but it's, you know, but in the last, when obviously Ireland, you know, 26 county independent, Ireland got their own independent, but we have a same similarity to Irish history,
Yeah.
Kurdish, you know. So, and a lot of the numbers when you call out in Irish, if you said it real slowly in Kurdish, is similar, the numbers, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's like even in Kurdish, some names like Dara. My uncle's name is Dara, you know,
Okay. Right.
and Tara. My girlfriend's name is Tara. She's Irish. I was like, that's Kurdish as well, because
Yeah. Yeah.
cousins are Tara, you know. So they be, you know, there would be a lot of names, and I feel like if I'd done Irish in school, I would have picked it up really quick. So like if you said something to me in Irish, I'd probably say it's like, you know, I never done Irish in school. I never had to do it. But
Yeah.
no, like Constadatu, Tommy, Gumma, Leska, Gora, I still know. I'm just hearing these stuff off the street.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I say we pick up Kurdish people always pick up probably languages. I've noticed that they pick up languages a lot quicker. So most Kurdish people would speak, you know, the least they would speak is two fluent languages.
Okay. Well, fair play.
You know, I mean, so if you're in Kurdistan of Iraq, most of them would speak Kurdish. A lot of them would know Kurdish, Arabic. They'll speak English, or bit of them, some of them speak a bit of Farsi, some of them speak a bit of Turkish. You know,
Okay.
they're as we're it's very multicultural too as well. But sometimes the language was forced onto us as well. You know.
Yeah. And when you went back, did it bring back any memories? Like, did you get kind of get that feeling of Jesus, that was something I forgot about? And I'm not necessarily going back to the same place, but just the general feel of it.
It was different. Well, obviously visiting the refugee camps brought a lot of memories back,
Yeah.
you know. It's the same. Them ones, the refugee camp we visited, it looked like they probably have a better life than the one we did because
Okay.
better place. They're in probably a better environment, but they're still in a refugee camp, so it doesn't matter. You can have a swimming pool and a thing, a house in a refugee camp. That's still not your land. You're not guaranteed to be spending the rest of your life in there. You know, you could be
Yeah.
moving, you're on someone else's land, you know.
Okay. And I suppose, how have you found, and I suppose the key word would be when you first came here, integrating into, we'll say, the Irish way of life. For anyone that, like, when I picked up the phone to ring you, take act, take Irish accent there. Do you know what I mean? If obviously represented your county, you're playing hurling, you speak very fondly of the place and any other interviews you've done. And you obviously kind of you've a Cooper Focal and stuff as well. How hard was that when you first came? I'm guessing English wouldn't necessarily be your first language at that time.
No, I didn't speak any English now when I moved over here. I spoke nothing. But I started primary school and probably through sport, my English got better. I made so many friends playing Gaelic with St. Mary's and hurling in Leitrim for the first 2 years, and we kind of laid the foundation there, and then obviously moved to Dublin in the 2003, so it was nearly 2004 when we kind of moved to Dublin then.
Mm.
And through there, but we laid a foundation there, as I always say, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, obviously, but when you're younger as well, so you're like when you're younger as well, you're expected to pick up, obviously English a lot quicker, you know.
Yeah.
If you're older, obviously it's going to be a little bit harder. You might have a bit of a broken English, but when you're younger, you're accepted to learn that, you know.
Yeah.
And through sports, I have, made so many great friends, in not only in Leitrim or Dublin. I have friends from all over the country in Ireland because of through GAA, you know.
Yeah, because that's really interesting. So, I work with teams as this kind of sports psychology consultant. And the one thing I always try and do with groups is you're trying to create that connection. Everyone wants to feel part of a tribe, and have that connection, that commonality. Was that what kind of GA offered you when you first came here? So that it was just, regardless of where you're from, regardless of whatever, you still have this thing in common with Tommy there, who's sitting next to you. You're both representing the same club, or you're both interested in hurling or football.
Yeah, I think they offered I would say the GA nearly offers everything between, you know,
Mm.
playing and getting enjoyment, obviously, making friends, and I think one of the best thing about GA it's friendship.
Yeah,
People always say they go out and play and they play and they enjoy it playing themselves. They always talk about playing and enjoying, but they never ever talk about how people make friends through GA
yeah,
and makes them into like a family member, through through GA. A lot of you see a lot of people going out or married or in clubs, and because of GA,
yeah,
probably 50-60% of the people in relationships are married or know you know going out or dating is just because of GA, otherwise they would have never met, because of true GA. And sometimes I always say, everyone just said, they just say, like you ask most inter-county fellas, they'd always say, oh, they enjoy playing and all that, but they never mention the friends they have made
yeah,
through GA. Most of them never mentioned that one, but every one of them, the friends they hang around, it was through GA.
yeah,
Noticed that with my club, all the lads I always hang around with, my best friends. because I played GA with them, since I was a kid, or
Yeah,
even a couple of years older than me. I played with them, I hang around with them, go to their weddings and so on. But because of through the friendship I made, but that's in the whole country, you
yeah,
know. We never talked about that. So even a lot of lads, you mightn't be great players, but they still, they stick to it. Some fellas, sometimes you feel sorry for them. They'd be happy just to be part of the team, so their friends are playing on the team.
yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
When did you realize that you have a really strong talent for it?
But like kind of when I was younger, I just loved playing. But
Yeah,
I found obviously Gaelic a lot easier playing. But hurling, I always found it tougher to game to play because I probably started a bit later as well. Hurling, there were sometimes I've done the kinder and coached kids over the years in Thomas Davis GA club, and I've noticed even sometimes, when you have like I help out sometimes with our under 17 because the nephew was on it, so I help out with them with the hurling, and a lot of the 7-year-olds would find it very hard to pick up the ball and hit it.
yeah,
With 25, 30 kids, only two fellas be able to do it. But if you all gave them a Gaelic ball, nearly 25 lads be able to kick a ball and catch because it's just an easier sport. It's a little bit slower to the hurling. The hurling is just it's because of the speed of the game, the hurling
yeah,
when you strike a ball and you're trying to pick it up and hit it because you have to do it so fast. There's no such thing as trying to hit and slow in hurling. There's no people
yeah.
might try just a low, but you still have to be, you know, you have to be a lot smarter and a lot quicker and sharper and it needs a lot of practice. You just have to, if you want to be a hurler, you have to work 3 times harder than being a Gaelic player. And a lot of Gaelic players wouldn't want to hear that, but big
But
difference that I played hurling, but that is it's just that's the reality. It's like if you want to be a hurler, you just have to work harder. You have to work 3 times harder, and you have to bring that hurl out with you on your own and get practice in.
that's gas because you actually brought up a bit of a slag in myself and one of the lads that I kind of work with. I do a bit of subbing inside in a school in Cove, and we've got one of the lads there, Wayne Power, uh, hurling mad, really, really good coaching really, really high level intercounty, all that crack. But we'd always have a fierce slagging about football being better than hurling, and he'd give that argument. So myself and one of the other lads then would just have we'd have a very good pop off him. But it is a massive sport, hurling, and obviously Gaelic football as well, and GA is quite powerful. If someone looks up your Instagram or your LinkedIn, whatever it may be, you mentioned that it was the word integration, so you've kind of become a kind of a voice for integration. Is that something that kind of came on naturally? Is it something you went looking for, or was it just basically kind of off your own experiences that you're kind of lending your voice to it?
But it just something just came on. Obviously getting involved with the skills and just doing talks and stuff like that. Something just kind of came on naturally. It
Yeah.
wasn't Zak Moradi's I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, um, uh, and even I was even there last week. I was at a housing association in Northern Ireland there in Slieve Donard. But I was just talking about it and all these, probably come in with bullet points. I said, look, don't have any of that with me. I'll talk away.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
people enjoy that, and people enjoy that, and some people like probably are sick of just seeing bullet points the whole time.
Death
But I
by
just
PowerPoint, yeah.
they said they want something natural. I said I'll just work away and talk away.
Yeah.
Um, but obviously, if you're in this country as well, sometimes you know things are not great either for a lot of people from different nationalities. There's a lot of on social media, people that are from immigrant backgrounds or they need somebody as well to obviously speak for them as well. Sometimes you only hear one side of the story as well.
Mm.
And then obviously there's a lot of, immigration, if people are giving out, it's only a small, tiny minority, giving out about, refugees or immigrants but sometimes someone like me will have to remind Ireland, look, Irish people, look, sometimes you have to go back and learn a bit about your own history before you make comments, you know. And some
Mm.
people don't like it, but sometimes you have to tell them, you know, you were the first refugees around the world probably in the 1800s, 1850s. When you were getting on boats going to different countries, people probably where I'm from didn't even know what boat was. You know, we only became refugees. I give them example. We only Kurdish people only we only became refugees only in the late 1930s, and even not many Kurds would have been in Europe. Only in the 1980s when the Iraq-Iran war started, and the 60s when Kurdistan was divided, and we didn't become most people that become refugees. It's not their own fault, and they don't want to become refugees. But sometimes you have to kind of be real tough and tell them, look, in the end of the day, we need to look research. Why is there so many people in Africa are kind of fleeing, you know? And we need to look at the root causes because there's no point saying, oh, they're coming on the boat, or they're going to England, or they're going to France. Sometimes we just have to say, well, look, what is the root cause to it? There's a root cause to it, you know?
What
Um,
do you think that root cause is?
the root cause is because of, colonization. And they have drained Africa for, a couple of hundred years. And there's a reason why when you're in Congo, they're speaking probably French, or you're speaking to Nigerians, they're speaking their only language they know is English, you know. Um, yeah, there's a reason when you go to London, you go to a museum, everything, I seen some, people going to a museum in London, but sure, everything in the museum is it's in from Africa. It's been robbed out of there back in the
Mm.
1800s or 1900s, and you look at it and you're like, there's nothing English about that, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But that museum is from, and it's, there's a root cause, and obviously war, because our reason why many Kurdish people have become refugees, it's not because our people are poor. Uh, we're, uh, we're well far from that, and we're not poor. As I said to you, Kurdish people are self-sufficient people.
mm.
Yeah. And we were always, and we have always have resources. Our farmer industry is big. We always if you look at a lot of poetry, singing, it all came from that neck of the wood where I'm from. Even
Yeah,
civilization kind of started in Kurdistan, and whereas now probably where the area where it started, it was it's part of Turkey now.
yeah.
Um,
But
so there is root causes, and people never looked at, like, I never met a Syrian person in Ireland, obviously, till the 2011
mm,
when obviously the revolution started, and you know, when that whole thing came. Sure, half a million people probably got killed, and probably 20 million people, 10 million Syrians got displaced all around the world. But
yeah, because
so,
it is a tricky subject because like people don't want to have conversations about it. I know we talk a lot about it when I would be in school, um, because it can be an uncomfortable conversation. You could have people with differing opinions, and obviously people are terrified. A lot of people are terrified, especially online, to be called racist and all this kind of crack. But like, if we look at yourself, for me, in my opinion, I would, as a father, be worried about the level of, I suppose, immigration into the country at the moment, especially, we'll say the usual, look, the unvetted men. But like someone like yourself come in with a family and seeing how like you're wearing a J top, you've integrated, you value what's going on here. But like you do see across Europe that there is an element that maybe do not. And I suppose for me as a parent, that was something that would worry me because I'm kind of going, I want I want a very simple life. I want to grow old with my wife and kids. I want to see him grow up and do well. But there is an element of worry there, and I think there's an element of worry there for a lot of people. But like what I think, looking at yourself and like
like,
Sean Oak, and there's a lot more that more than welcome and are probably dream people to kind of get into the country that will add to it and add your own bits of culture to, we say, your own area and the people and all that kind of crack.
yeah, look, I know, look, there is I know the big issue is because of housing, and that's the one of the reason to blame somebody,
Mm.
because they're being put into community centers, or they call it, what's it called, I
IPAS
pass.
centres.
Yeah. But like in Ireland, where in 2006 and four and five, hundreds of thousands of Polish people coming into the country. Um, there's no issue.
There was a lot of Polish, actually. Yeah, there was. To be fair, a lot of them have kind of gone now when Poland developed, though.
Yeah, but there's still, yeah, but I'm saying like people didn't really, it's just because maybe they were a lot more whiter looking, because there was no, there was, that's my opinion. Look, but I
Yeah,
don't either saying, oh, let millions of people in either, I don't, I know there has to be a system, I know that, but the problem is, but how do you fix that system?
yeah,
How, yeah, like, how do you fix that system? Like people say, "Oh, deport." All right, the problem. Okay, someone comes in from Somalia, example, right? Say deport him. Okay, tell me how you're going to deport this man to Somalia. Ireland has no relationship with Somalia. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
You ask one Irish person, "What's the name of the president of Somalia?" Oh, I don't know. They'll be googling all day,
yeah.
Uh, and then, but like, okay, how do you do that? So, are you going to send 20 people back, as I seen it, to Nigeria cost €500,000, right? And that'll take, because if you want to go through then court cases, obviously you have to go through the if we're all signed up to the Geneva Human Rights Convention,
Mm.
so you have to follow rules and laws as well, So where do you and everything takes time so like in Ireland, you're trying to build a house, or someone down the country trying to look for planning permission. Takes them nearly 4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
by the time someone signs a piece of paperwork off. Um, like it's a difficult situation. Well, Grant, people say we need to talk about it. I've no problem. We'll talk about it, but what are the root causes? People don't want to hear the root causes. This is where the problem is, right?
yeah. But
You
would you
know,
say if you're, and again, this wasn't like I know that we've kind of navigated into this now, but like obviously enough, if you're in a rural village, 'cause I know now, there was down around West Cork, there's one or two areas where we'll say there's a lot of people after coming in, and in some instances outnumber the local people there, right? And obviously enough now as well, you have people's greed looking to exploit people coming in to make money off them, and in a lot of cases they're making millions off them. But
there's
if
that as well. Yes, there is that as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
there is, and it's desperate, like you know what I mean. It's literally a gravy train. But like you kind of mentioned there when you came through, it took you nearly 11 years. There was processes, there was interviews. At the moment, we've people landing off a plane and dumping passports, and then they're in. I think if you're looking at a system, that needs to be kind of dealt with as well. Because again, I would love um, people around me from different cultures and all that kind of crack. But I suppose the one worry is you kind of see it now already. They're moving things out of the classroom in terms of what I would have grown up with. Is there a danger that if so many people come in, you lose your culture?
Look, I
And we'll leave
always
it at that now after that. But again, because I want to move on about yourself, is that necessarily about
um
immigration or whatnot?
right. Okay. So example, right. So whenever the Irish people have gone anywhere, they've brought their cultures with them as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I don't agree with someone bringing their full culture. You know what I mean? Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to leave certain things behind the home. And I don't I don't believe in you bring your full culture into. I
Mm,
believe you should you know leave some of them back at home. And majority of people do leave some. Yeah, back at home, and it's like I was in Qatar, right?
mm.
Yeah, for a day and a half. But sure, we hardly seen anyone from Qatar there. And you know,
Yeah.
right. So like I was six people you probably meet one Qatari.
Yeah.
And you know. So I wonder would people in Qatar go around, oh, there's not enough of us going around with that big white thing. It's all Indians, Pakistanis, British, and you know,
Mm.
French, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair
So
question.
So like, do you know what I mean? If you're in Dubai, you hardly see anyone from United Arab Emirates. You might only see them with the rich guys or with the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're out. Like if you look at that as well. So like you need to look as well. Like, I were probably seven people when you see seven people on the street. I was seven people, six of them are immigrants, you know. So I
Mm.
want they go around, oh, we're outnumbered here. You know, I looked in Saudi Arabia, look, you know, and a friend of my brother's, Abdullah, he was here, he was studying over here. And he goes, like, I don't get it, like people giving out. He says, because in Saudi Arabia, we have over 14 million immigrants there. I know he says we're 20 million people, but we have about 14 million. He says, everything has got to do, Zach, with the law. Do you know what I mean? Everything has got to do with the law. If we don't toughen the law up a bit more, I'm not saying toughen the law, but like I don't, I always believe everybody deserves a chance, you know?
Yeah, and fair again. You go back to the word
And
integration. Integrate, great.
but the problem is if you've like okay, and I don't agree with the laws they have in Qatar or Dubai or you know, just even with the Irish law, right? But even with the Irish law, do people, you know, people commit crimes and hundreds of previous conviction, they're out in the street. Excuse the prisons are full, but like they're getting 100 chances.
100% agree. Like
So
again,
if you don't, like my opinion is, if you can solve the law out, you know, like everything else will look after itself. Do you know what I mean?
I do, and I do
So,
because
so, so the thing is, example, right? If someone comes into Ireland, right,
yeah,
you might think he's breaking a law, but if you talk to a solicitor, he's not breaking any law. He's entitled to apply for Islam Sikh. Doesn't matter what way he comes into the country, he is entitled to apply for. Do you know what I mean?
mm.
Um,
And but on the flip side of that, so you're dead right. If people get a chance, but what if someone comes from France or wherever and they've murdered 20 people, it's not checked, and then they murder someone in Ireland. Now, this is very extreme. I don't think we're going to go here at all. But like, what would you do in that case then? Is it okay, you had your chance, out you go, or what would you do?
but how do you know? But you can't brush everybody with the same brush
Oh no, but
either.
what I'm saying is, so if Bob or whoever comes in and Bob kills whatever, whoever, and then he's arrested, they find out, and then they do a check and find out, well, hang on, Bob has 10 other convictions in France for murder or whatever. But surely at that stage, then, if you're looking at rules, then he's broken it and his chance should be gone and
Like
he
if
should be
he's been
moved
in,
on.
like if he's been in obviously so I'm saying that the system is not easy. It's not like you're in Iran or somewhere where they just deal with you with an iron fist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But do we want that law here too? Do you know what I mean? Like I always tell people like I can live if you want to live in dictatorship, I can live in dictatorship. If you want to live in communism, if you want to live in whatever way you want to live in this country, I can live in that. My
Mm,
family lived in that life. But in Ireland, yous will not be able to hack the same law. Yous won't be able to. Have probably 20% of the population will be in prison. You know,
mm,
this is reality. You know, you'll be building prisons day after. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like, and I do sometimes, you know, like the Irish law as well. There's a lot of common sense used as well. You know,
yeah.
there's a lot of that as well. But sometimes, is there too many time that's like you common sense used as well?
And
It's it's but the thing is, right? Okay, you're saying if someone came from France, he already kills, but that's up to the French government. That's up to the Irish government have some sort of deal with if someone comes in, you send them back to France. What's it, extradition?
yeah,
That's up to the Irish government to have that, but to have that with them. But at the same time, look. If you got 5,000 immigrants coming in, you're always going to get, sorry for me, like, you're always going to get one prick. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean? It's like where I'm living. Is everybody prick around? Sorry, is everyone perfect around me? No, they're not. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
It's like we need to look. People always have to kind of like nearly. I would always say you need to have a look at yourself first. Are you perfect yourself? Is your family perfect? Are you, you know? So like that's the way I look at it.
yeah.
It's like in Ireland we can give out such and such, you know, went and you know killed someone. Okay, if you kill someone, put them in jail 30, 40 years, you know, that might solve a lot of problems. But I said, if you're going to protest, but you better protest for someone that was raped in Donegal, do the same thing that happened there, do the same thing that happens down in Cork. don't just be saying, "Oh, he only come into the bleeding country. We need to get them out, get
Yeah, no,
them."
you're
And
dead right, yeah.
but they've no problem. Someone is only two doors down
Mm,
doing the thing. They have no problem with their own area. Like there is areas in Ireland. It's very rough before any foreign nationals come into the country. It always had. I won't even not even mention bad.
no, yeah,
Um,
no, there is, and there
but
is,
but I never ever see anyone protesting. Let's fix antisocial behavior. There's one. Let's fix anti. Let's get hundreds of thousands of people on the street. I never see that. Do they want to do that? No. Like this is you can't just you know if you want to like it's got to do with the law. You know what I mean? We obviously the law is perfect, but the problem is people are not following it,
mm,
and obviously the excuse I heard from politicians, the prisons are full. Well, if they're full, I don't know. There is a lot of Ireland do have a problem with a lot of people probably on drugs and drink and blah blah addictions and stuff like that as well, and there need to be a better facility for them. I wouldn't even say prison, maybe if rehabilitation centers maybe are full now. But okay, maybe there needs to be a plan B. Look somewhere else to put them. There's no because they're actually doing more harm to themselves on the street.
yeah.
Yeah. And if they don't want to go to a rehabilitation center, they can't be on the street. They're too dangerous to themselves
Mm.
and they're too dangerous to society. And people don't want to talk about these things, you know?
Yeah,
That
no,
we
you have a point. I would have seen videos of young lads robbing bikes or robbing motorcycles or robbing cars, and they're they're a lot of them are white, right? They're all Irish, which is fine. So you're dead right. I do agree with you in that needs to be tackled and should be tackled. It should be tackled equally. Um, but I
that,
suppose,
that's the word equally.
yeah. So
That's
like,
what we look at equally. But 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 look, the problem is lack of housing. If there was enough homes in Ireland and apartments or blah, and people lived there, and if they weren't put into them places, position into obviously into these iPad centers, and obviously just you have social media. It's a lot easier. People would just put up and make false accusation. There's a lot of that going on, and I see it in Dublin, there's a lot of innocent people getting attacked in Dublin,
yeah, there was a horrific
and there's
video
absolutely
of,
and there's nothing, But the problem is, 99% of Irish people are genuine good people, but it's that small 1%, not even 1%. They're probably 0.1 or something. You know what I mean? Uh,
hmm,
not even probably 1%. They're just small, tiny, tiny minority. They cause troubles and they cause other troubles as well, but they're getting away with it. You know what I mean? But if you have a tougher law, you know, it doesn't matter. Equally, you wouldn't have this problem. Like it's as I said to someone, people say, "Oh, but look, your man is only in the country. He's here 6 years and he done this." But I'm like, and like I'm easy. You can talk to me. I don't mind a debate about things, but sometimes we should talk about it as well. You know what I mean? And at the same time as well is like nobody talk about if something happens in England and people are doing that, but like God, if it's full of Indians, I'm like, but come on, Lord Mountbatten killed nearly 6 million Indians. They don't talk about that. Do you know what I mean? They
hmm,
don't. I'm like, that's not too long ago. That's when even in the late 1960s, or
yeah,
we don't like we're trying to talk about one little small issue that's kind of really quickly solved. You know what I mean? But
hmm.
like, it's and I see there's people in the far right in England are getting involved in Ireland and they're stirring it. And there is political parties behind it. They're stirring the whole thing, and only in Ireland and England you get away with that carry on,
Hmm.
And and
Yeah, I'd agree with you and I disagree with you. To be honest, I definitely think the equally piece is something that at the moment, depending on some certain you look at, I don't think some things are equal. But I think you're right. Definitely, there's issues.
I always say to people, right, I'm like, okay, but like it's like my family, we came in through the proper process, through a proper system, and and most Kurdish people came through,
And just to jump in there, how hard or how difficult or how robust was that system?
it was hard. Like some people were like, my family spent 20 years in the refugee camp, so and we. I spent the first 11 years of my life in it. So I so I kind of know the feeling what some people
Mm.
are through and what some of the root causes are, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like sometimes, some people don't have any humanity in them either, you know? But at the same time, but Irish people are probably the most they contribute to humanity more than anybody else. But
Mm.
there's a reason for that, you know?
Sorry, there's a what for it?
There's a reason for that, why they do that.
Yeah.
Because Irish people were the first one in the 1800s. When people were hungry, they go into Canada, they go into Australia. They're I was listening to Micheál Martin who was on a debate with some Cork FM or something, whatever
Yeah.
it was. He was talking about was it in the late 1800s about 40,000 Irish people went into one town in Canada. I can't think of the name now,
Yeah.
outnumbered. That town was only population of 20,000, only a small
Yeah.
population. But they outnumbered them in numbers. There's 40,000 Irish went over.
Mm.
Sometimes I see where, some politician and human rights people say, look, do we forget where we came from ourselves? Do you know what I mean?
Mm. But would religion as well have an impact on that? And what I mean by that is if you have a town in just say Canada or America that's Catholic and 40,000 Irish go in, you've similar beliefs, you've similar kind of values, you believe in X, Y, and Z. Is there an issue with that? And I'm not talking about Ireland, I'm talking about, in different parts of Europe as well, where if, we'll say gay marriage, right? No problem with it. Fair play to them. If someone's happy, let them off. But if you have people who come in and it's fundamentally against their religion, that you see gay people getting married, that's going to cause an issue.
Well, it's like in Ireland, sure, you probably couldn't be gay about, people only coming out now in the last 10 years. I'm gay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm, I'm always,
They weren't being killed for being gay at all.
well, they were probably attacked or they were afraid. Why wouldn't it, like, it's like if we go back, like, if we go back, how would you say? If we go back, sure, go back to in the 80s and 90s when I learned about, the baby homes and
Yeah, it
unmarried
was desperate,
men
yeah.
taken away. When we go back as well, Ireland wasn't perfect either,
Oh no,
like
100%.
everything's perfect and everything's perfect and shiny here. We're all open minded. You go for you be what you want to be. But it wasn't
No, it
it,
wasn't.
it
It
wasn't like
wasn't.
that. And sometimes you have to say, you know, sometimes it's got to do with education as well. And I don't uh, I don't think any religion is perfect, right? That's my opinion. I'm a
Mm.
Muslim, and I don't think my religion is perfect, and I don't think the Catholic religion is perfect. I don't think, like, if we have to follow every, the Bible by every bit of word, I don't think it's perfect either. If we have
Yeah,
to, if you go by most people don't follow, the religion in this country either. So it's, and same with Muslims. Most Muslims, yeah, they're, like I know a lot of Kurdish, they're Muslims. Like I go to Kurdistan, there'd be pubs, there's nightclubs, there's,
yeah.
yeah.
And just a question there to jump in, sorry, right? Because you touched on it a second ago. And, I always have to tell myself this on social media, it's very, very easy to, I could put this podcast down to a 10-second clip and the whole context of a question would be gone or whatever it may be. And there's a lot of that on social media. And you do see a lot of posts now that are about 40 seconds long with Muslims talking about X, Y, and Z. I think that's what gets people worried as well. Like, how do you find it, even just talking to people at work, out and about at the pub? Like, are people willing to talk about these things? And fair play to you. Now, again, I hadn't this planned that we end up in this area, but a good debate is healthy. How do you find people, even in Ireland now, are they happy to debate? Does it turn nasty? Do they not want to talk about it? I suppose, what are you finding yourself?
I feel like more kind of, I think people in disadvantaged area we talk about these things, I think.
Hmm.
I've noticed.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's I don't know why, and it's same with, like, if you're in England, obviously, right, there's probably a population of 7, 8 million Muslim people there, right?
Hmm.
People only always talk about the disadvantaged areas of the Muslim areas, like Bradford. They put them all into one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But but then there is, they not never talk about the area where the Muslims lives. You
yeah,
could you could say that about Ireland. You know, like, but they don't talk about. They always probably talk about the bad cat. Like they don't call it the bad Catholic areas. You know what I mean?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Well, we have the bad Catholic areas as well, and you have the Muslim areas as well.
yeah,
And sometimes look, like, do is there but like we have to look who's creating all these extremists. We didn't have like this is the thing I always say. Let's go back and who created Al Qaeda? Let's go back. Who created ISIS? Sure, ISIS was in the White House yesterday. Yesterday, yes. The Syrian president.
yeah,
He was in the White House. He
mm,
was ISIS. He, him and his gang killed about, 20,000 of my people.
yeah,
And, You know, so we want to see what was this all about? So we like, I always say, who's creating all these extremists? They're all built in here. Every one of the extremist groups are made in Europe and funded by some European, not all of it, some European countries. Like,
okay,
and sometimes I don't have any time for Joe Rogan or any of that. Like, but I like some of his podcasts when I listen to it as well. When he brings on the right people, you
mm,
know, and when he brings on ex CIA agents, deputy of CIA agents, people working in the American governments, and when he brings on when they talk about it, their 30 years, sometimes I feel like. They don't say we funded ISIS, but they say the guys work with us.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, but they use it in a different. I'm I just couldn't believe it. In Syria, your man was he was in ISIS, Al Qaeda. He was in prison in Iraq for suicide bombing. And sure, what did he say? He done an interview with CNN. It was CNN, yeah, it was CNN. 60 Minutes. He says, he says when I was younger, when I was in my late teens, I was 20, I was different, obviously. I was young, I made stupid mistakes. And when you're in your 30s, you change a little bit. I'm in my 40s, so I'm more mature. I'm like, Jesus, that's like me. Oh, Jesus, like I drank a lot when I was in my 20s and I partied. Now I'm in my late 30s, I'm maturing down, I don't go out much.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean? I was like, but it's
And
like, it's I look at it like like people give out about Afghanistan, Taliban. Who created Taliban? Like who
yeah,
created that? It was created. It was created in the West in America. And I've noticed like I like American people, I like British people, and they be open minded and all that. But you just don't know what's goes on behind the scenes. Who's creating all these? You know.
yeah, fair, fair, yeah, yeah. I do think we obviously, and you become more aware of it now with internet and everything else. But and into watch interviews, you just said, but there's definitely a lot of things going on that we have zero glimmer about, and
Yeah,
it's fairly serious shit. Like,
yeah, it's there's sometimes, they use these extreme groups to overthrow governments. There's just you just don't know who's um who's behind. Like you need to look at the root cause. Who's causing all this? What's
mm,
it? It's all about money and wealth. It's the resources.
yeah,
You know what I mean? The
yeah,
reason my country is divided into four because of resources we have.
yeah,
It's like, and I'm looking at why there's oil fields everywhere, and there's someone else robbing and taking it, and it's like like the whole of Iraq should be like Dubai or Qatar. This is the reality. There should be no
yeah,
poor countries. No, okay, fair enough. Yemen is that have lack of resources in Yemen. It's kind of poor country, and majority of the population in Yemen, as a Muslim country, they're all on drugs. And sometimes, just they're all, it's
mm,
they have their own problems with addiction. They have
yeah,
cat or whatever it's called, like the tune.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But like, yeah, it's but you look at Iraq and these countries, they've been war nearly 100 years over there.
yeah,
But but they still rebuild and people get on with life and move on again. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And if there's a bit of peace there now, next couple of years, things are calming down. They just like you look at Iran, all these they have the biggest resources, and But because sometimes, you know, sometimes European countries, and I don't agree with the way they rule the country either, I'm not fond of them and I'm all about democracy. And
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is of that lack of democracy because they put fear into the people and obviously spying and so on. And it's um it's difficult, because it's not a third world. Some people say, "Oh, is the Middle East a third?" I'm like, no, it's not third world. I said, if you go to Qatar and Dubai and Oman, Saudi Arabia, they'll probably call us in Ireland third world. I said,
Yeah, yeah,
come
yeah,
visit
yeah.
over there. I said it's a different. They'll have a different lifestyle. I said you only just hear the one about the war in the Middle East. It's not like that all around the Middle East.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So look, the world is a mess.
It is, it is, it is. And as I said, we didn't go on, sorry.
The world is a mess, and whether we like it or not, and the face of the world is changing. I was in Kurdistan there 2 years ago. It's very multicultural there as well. I thought I was going to be all Kurdish there.
Mm.
Now there's people from all sorts of background there as well.
Mm.
I'm actually talking to a fella. His name is Will. He's from Wicklow. He's Irish. I said, yeah, this guy's over there in Kurdistan working, and
Yeah,
obviously sector, logistics and engineering. And but you meet all sorts there, from whether it's Pakistan or England or
mm.
and Arabs. Well, I don't know. Where I'm from is very multicultural where we come from, so we have all
Yeah,
religions. No, it's not just we're just Kurdish Sunni Muslim. We have Kurdish Shias, we have Sunni Muslims, we have Zoroastrianism, we have like Kakes, Christians. Like we have all sort of mixture
yeah,
of people, and then some neighborhoods be all Arab, some is all Kurdish, some of them all
yeah,
mixed. But then unfortunately in the last all this in the last 40, 50 years, they're bringing religion into it and to divide people for power.
yeah, 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 fair. Yeah, I'd agree.
Do you think, any of them leaders in the Middle East and all, do you think they care about religion and they don't, they're living the life.
Yeah, yeah,
Teach
I'd
them
agree.
religion. Yeah, you see in Erdogan of Turkey, do you think he cares about religion? He does all this with the Quran. Oh, I'll do this. He wants to be like I'm the caliph of the Muslims. But all the educated people are laughing at him like, get that clown off that TV. But they're living their life. They probably have all their kids are going to penthouses. The same with Afghanistan, the Taliban. He was on was a Piers Morgan said, "Where's your kids?" Piers Morgan, isn't it? Yeah, the English. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
one of the Taliban leaders. He says, "You allow your daughters? Are your daughters in school?" He says, "Yes." But what
yeah,
about everybody else? Oh, the country's not in a great shape.
yeah, 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 yeah,
These people might be, they will be they're trying to rule the country with an iron fist, and they can try and get a control of the people. Maybe they say, "Oh, we'll control the women. If we can control them, we can control the men." And
yeah,
but for their own kids, it's different. It's
yeah, yeah,
it's different. There's different rules. It's like in Iran when the advisor to the Ayatollah of Iran there 2 weeks ago, he was actually assassinated. He survived the Israeli attack. But he had his daughter's wedding in Tehran. She dressed like any European women getting married, any Irish girls at a
yeah,
wedding. Someone video, it got millions of views in all people sharing it on Kurdish, Iranian
yeah,
TV, America. I was like, and there his dad is saying, "Oh, every woman should wear headscarves, every woman should wear this and cover them." But it's different for his own daughter because they're all studying.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're even the Iranian foreign minister got a bill in the parliament. He was like, people are saying, "Oh, in Iran it's illegal to hold dual citizenship, so you only have to hold the one." But most of them in the parliament, the kids all. It's a Iranian foreign minister. His two sons, he came out with the opposition with a question. He's like, "Well, your two sons have American citizenship." Oh, well, that's different, he said.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's politics is messy, but it's always like, you know, there is always, sometimes some people are very smart. They use religion to get back in power. Do you
Mm,
know? I've seen it with Donald Trump.
mm,
My Catholic faith, Christian, I'm bringing back Christianity and
mm.
doing all that. And then he's like, I'm not into this and that. Do you know the way? Of faith and go to church or whatever like he might be into, but he usually wasn't all that and then trying to get people like John in with pictures of Jesus, but he's using religion. He's doing copying what some some people do in the Muslim countries, you know. And yeah, there. Look, do I say all Muslims are perfect? No. Is all Catholic people perfect? You know, sometimes like in Syria, when there's war, they use the religion, they use Islam, or we're fighting for Islam. So when they like, you see in Syria is a very you know, very multi cultural, very, people from different backgrounds, and all these crowdy amounts, ISIS, Al Qaeda, I'm going to fight for, but they just want to get rid of Assad, you
Yeah.
know. Syria had obviously he was a dictator and he had a good relationship with Russia. Russia was the only the base they had over there, and same with Iran. They kind of controlled that area, neck of the woods, And but Europe wanted, they wanted Syria, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody don't want it. NATO wanted Syria. America they wanted to get rid of Assad so they can put their own man in there. And they got rid of him. And they got all these groups going from England, France, all these head cases, they're
Mm.
extremism. So where did they go? They all went through Turkey, didn't they? 70, 80,000 of them. And when they get arrested, they're all there's over, what's it? There's tens of thousands of ISIS fighters in Kurdish prisons in Syria. It's called the
Yeah.
Kurdish. And so you ask them where did they come from, how did they get there? They all came through Turkey and someone from the Turkish Secret Service. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. You're going to fight for Islam. You're going to get. No, the whole thing was, it wasn't religion. The whole thing was go there. When they get you out of power and they put religion away on side, they'll use religion for a while to control the people and they get in power. And all of a sudden he came out. He worked for he was an American agent and he worked for Europe and Turkey and Qatar and Saudi Arabia. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
now his past is forgotten about. He's like a celebrity. He's on every American TV show. He's been on CNN, Fox News. You know, it's like it's just mental. And I'm just like, who's causing all this fucking mess? You
Yeah,
know?
it is a mess. And even the one thing I see even here in Ireland now is a lot of problems we have are government led and they'll provide their solution, a solution that we won't want. But like there is an element of divide then as well, I think, where things
There
are
is that. There is that.
they're trying to cause a divide, whereas I guarantee you and me sit down for a coffee outside a podcast, we find a lot of things in common. I think it's healthy to have a debate like this. And I think we're talking about 25 minutes now, which wasn't the plan. So I want to say fair play to you for that. But I want to get back to you. What are your own plans and how do we go about seeing the documentary? Because, I saw a trailer for it, looked really, really good. What's
Yeah,
the sum of that?
it was on RTE there, just nearly the week of the All Ireland, the week before the All Ireland was on. It was on.
Okay. I don't have
Uh,
RT anymore. I've no Sky or anything. So, and
yeah, so it's on RTE Player. You can watch it on RTE Player.
brilliant. I'm going to try that. That's one thing I'm going to do now is sit down and watch that.
Yeah.
Because in fairness to you, you've an incredible story. And obviously enough, you have your own experiences from it. I suppose just in terms of the GA, what are your plans left in that? Do you ever see yourself going into coaching and into county level management?
Me? No, I just not at the minute. I don't really have time. I like helping out with the younger age groups, so
Yeah.
it still takes time, I always been involved with teams over the years in Thomas Days, under 10s or
Mm.
14s or help out. I was with our 21 hurlers this year, but we weren't great. A lot of lads were missing from going golfing and all that carry on.
Yeah,
I don't know. Loads of lads from Tallaght are playing golf now. That was
yeah.
10 years ago. But all the young fellas are getting into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so we were betting the first round. So yeah, for next year I'll be with a team, so probably under 16 or could be a minor.
Brilliant.
I'll be helping now. I'm getting a bit
And
45 in January, so I'm getting a bit older. Just
yeah. We're nearly coming to the end, right? But I suppose just for yourself, as in for me, I love the GA coach for years. As you said, you find people, that you kind of a lot of common with and become close with. And it's supposed in terms of business, it's a massive networking group because you always have that commonality. But I suppose how important has GA been to you, or how important is it in your life at the moment?
um, that's been everything. Obviously, every day if I'm in work, there's always someone talking about sports or
Mm.
I wouldn't talk about soccer because they know I have no interest in it
Okay.
unless Ireland were playing or
Yeah.
I keep an eye on the odd results when Rovers because they're only up the road as well. So,
Yeah.
one or two lads for them plays with them. So I kind of keep an eye on the results there as well, see how they're getting on, And
Brilliant.
but I kind of be more like Ireland international. Same with the rugby, if they're
Yeah,
playing.
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. And we've come to the end now, so we've got five quick fire questions, Zach. Zach, what are you most proud of?
Most proud of.
Yeah.
Um, shit, I'm proud of.
Could be anything now. Could be anything in your life. Could be
Uh,
relationships. It could be people. It could be whatever.
I'm proud of the stride I've made. Coming from
Yeah.
nothing, and sometimes I'm saying making it in life.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes when you tell people that they think I'm after making 100 million quid or I always said that, people ask me, your proudest moment, I'm like, what's your achievement? I said, making it in life to a great,
Yeah.
and I said, the person I'm being, and, be grateful for life. And,
And I
but
suppose
people, always think, geez, he must be doing very well for himself.
yeah, that's a pure Irish thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
That's a pure Irish thing. He's got a bit of money now. He's got a bit
Yeah.
of money. He's got a book out now in a documentary. He's got a bit of money. What was the last thing that scared you?
Um, uh, One thing is scaring me, and I don't like seeing the country going down the road. I think racism is on the rise in Ireland, whether we like it or not. And it's there's thousands of racist attacks being reported into,
Hmm.
guards and guard stations, and you mightn't hear about it, but there is. So friends that are guards and they deal with this,
Hmm.
and they tell me, and that's one thing. It's and obviously you've seen it there last week as well. I would call them far right, but not everybody's far right now either. And
Hmm.
it's it's if the law doesn't get tougher on people, I think I think if we don't have a tougher, constitution, not like I think the law is perfect. The law we have, it's maybe the prisons are full. I'm sure if a judge could give someone committing, like I see it in courts every day, fellas with 50 previous conviction
Hmm.
committed was stopped with a knife, and you're like 200, like he's just going to do it again, isn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's kind of, it's kind of scaring me. It's kind of like, but I live in Tala. I never have any issue around there.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
look, you will see people that with drug addiction, but that's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere around the country. And that's some people make their own decisions. Obviously, I always say there are root causes to that as well. There's root causes. Like I seen one fella there. Jesus, he was a lovely man. His family were a very wealthy person and lost his sister and lost his dad, and he went. It was terrible to see. And he went off the wall on drugs and he ended up in prison there.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't matter. You can still come from a perfect family. You could end up as,
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I always say not everyone is perfect. That's why I always say we all kind of need to look at ourselves. Are we all perfect?
Hmm.
Um, but I'm always all about people deserve a chance in life. And not everyone's perfect either. As I say, if you have 100 immigrant, not the 100 that might be perfect. It'd be 99 of them be perfect. If you're in Australia, right, there's thousands of Irish over there, right?
Hmm.
There's thousands of Irish people there, right? Thousands, hundreds of thousands, yeah. All right. There's many Irish over there have committed crimes.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and you don't see people in Australia going protesting, get them out, get the Irish, the paddies out, or get them. You don't see that. You know what I mean? It's like you see many. there's thousands of Irish live in Spain. There's many of them commit many crimes, murder, killings, and you know that. We don't
Mm,
have to details, you know. You don't see the Spanish protesting, but they know that's only a small, tiny majority do that. A small, tiny minority does that, you know. So you can't
mm.
really, so you can't really blame brush everybody with the same, you know. And it's like in America, there's probably more Irish, second generation of Irish in America than there is in Ireland. And I listen to podcasts and I listen to, yeah, ex-FBI and they talk about, when they talk about people from different nationalities. I listened to George Bush, I remember a year, well, 20 odd years ago, he was talking about he was saying they were giving out that there's too many Irish were coming over, they're taking over, and then he says now they're giving out the Italians are taking over. There's
Mm.
too many Italians going, they're giving out, and he says next thing you're going to give out about the Mexicans, and next thing you're going to give out about, you know, the El Salvadorian or you know, so, and I'm like. Jesus, some of these people, and we always think, Jesus, George Bush and all these fellas are all, these boys are tough or military people. They don't really know what way politics works. But, and then you look back 20 years later, let's blame all the Mexicans. Do you know what
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
mean? So it's it's a thing. It's like in America, right? They said they want tougher laws, right? The protests for crime. Okay, fair enough. There is probably crime there. And I do agree with Donald Trump, but you can't blame all Venezuelans. Yes, Venezuela, when you watch documentaries and stuff and learn, Venezuela did, they empty out the prison and they go to
Yeah,
America.
yeah, yeah, they did, they
Uh,
did.
Federal Castro done the same in the 1960s. If you just want to go to America, yeah, so there's all, I don't know, they're using politics in a different way of war, and they're not fighting the war themselves with guns, but they'll use certain, yeah, so there's different, but see now in America now, people say, oh Jesus, like you see some people even, oh, we love to have Donald Trump in Ireland. I'm like, I can live under Donald Trump, but would you think Irish people here, majority Irish people would live? I said I don't think so, because they
Well,
wouldn't.
Johnny, I will say he'd be better than the show we have at the moment. Because
Yeah.
fuck me.
Um, but it's look, I always say we have two laws. We have the Irish law and we have the EU law as well. So, but EU have been great for Ireland, whether we like it or not. If you compare.
Mm,
They've been great for Ireland. Ireland has done brilliant on the EU. Like, we might give out inflation and everything else, but there's a lot of jobs in the country. I know inflation because the wars and Russia, obviously there's all this kind of Russia-Ukraine war didn't help either, with the refugee crisis as well. And sometimes Ukraine is on your doorstep. You have to help them. They'll fight for you, you know?
mm.
No, there's a reason. There's, like we don't always get, I mean, they're not going to be able to tell us everything Russia does. Do you think Russia will tell their people?
No,
They're
but I do think that we have let ourselves, whether it be unknowingly or knowingly, be taken advantage of in terms of people coming in, being offered the sun, moon, and stars versus the Irish people for whatever reason, whether it be through mistakes, whether it be bad luck, whether it be addiction, whether it be whatever,
Yeah, okay.
losing
So I'll
their
give you an example,
homes
right?
and whatnot.
Okay, I'll give you an example. So tomorrow, 100 people from Africa land in, right? Just say land in Dublin.
Yeah.
You're the Minister for Justice, or you're the Taoiseach, right? What would you do?
I would make sure, what I would do, I would have a facility near Dublin Airport, and I would say this is the start of the processing, we'll say, structure. You go there, you make sure you've got your passports and everything else. If you don't, and you look at their story and you'd say, look, okay, this is, if it's 100 men, you think I'm going, okay, maybe not. I'd be, whereas if it's the families, okay, I'd be a little more open to that. But I think if you're coming to Ireland, you got on a plane somewhere, you had a passport. And if you don't have a passport, getting off the plane, it's an issue.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So the thing is, you say you'll open somewhere. Well,
I'd have a facility, I'd have a facility right next to
right, but who? Yeah,
Dublin
but
Airport.
if we're signed up to the Geneva Convention, if we're signed up to the EU, right? But you have to follow their rules and laws.
You do, but Ireland, the other end of it, you look at Hungary. Hungary are paying, is it €1 million a week?
Day,
A
a
day, a
day.
€1 million a day to. to control their own borders, I wouldn't mind that because it would work out cheaper than what we're paying at the moment in terms of bypass. Like, again, if it's streamlined and it's people with genuine cases, because the government now have come out and said 80% of people here aren't here for real reasons or genuine reasons. Again, if they're genuine reasons and they can contribute to the society, bring them in, absolutely and truly. But we have set ourselves up to be taken advantage of both by people coming in, but also by Irish people who are exploiting the system to make money. You'd see people there putting down houses as IPAS centres with 20 people in it. It could be a three-bed house. So, like, that needs to be dealt with. I think there is an element of people in power who are taking advantage of it themselves to make money, so they're not encouraged to do it. I do think as well that it's pitting, an A versus B kind of thing, the way politics has gone. Like, so, you know, we have a lot in common, as I said. Whereas the governments, and I look across Europe, I think they want people arguing, they want people, they want conflict between different races, between different nationalities, between different religious groups, because if they do that, they're easier to control. Whereas if people got on the same page and looked at overall, like, well, hang on, this treatment is wrong, it's a lot harder for governments then to ignore that. Whereas if they put me against you or Bob against your, they can
But
leave them to kind of have a fight themselves and they get away scot-free, you know?
but my opinion is right. If my opinion is, I think majority of the people voted, whether we like it or not, voted for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, somebody independent,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So like you might say, I will do that, but majority of people's issue is are not talking about immigrants, right? We might have this debate or someone else, but not in every household around the country. It's not about that. They're talking about other things. How are
Oh,
they going to?
100%.
Yeah.
hundred
Um,
percent.
and as I said, right, like I don't agree with letting millions of people and blah, but that's never going to happen either, right? So there is a refugee crisis around the world. It's a lot easier for people to travel around the world. It's like I understand there has to be a common sense, but first of all, you know, I don't see millions of people protest around Europe saying they're anti-war, right?
Mm.
I don't. If example, there's a little country called Niger. Is it Niger? Am I pronouncing it right? Not
Yeah.
Nigeria.
No,
Niger.
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They have new leader there, and he says, "I don't want the French out of my country. Get out the soldiers." You know what I mean?
Mm.
They get their 70% of their electricity from there, or. So it's one minute, people are saying, "Well, then, like most of your electricity comes from there, and you're taking it for nothing, nearly." So there's root causes. It's like it's Saudi Arabia decided. Like example, Saudi Arabian king was it King Faisal? Was it King? Oh, trying to think back in the late 70s. Was it 74 when someone his own relations stabbed him? But they reckon European countries is behind that, and I remember it was an Irish man here. He said he was over there. He was one of the head of security there. And he was conflict there because he wanted to stop selling oil till the Palestinian-Israeli conflict was sorted out. And yeah, that man is in his late 70s. He's about 78, 79 now here in Ireland. He said he was there.
Mm.
He was the head of security for the royal family there. And he says, and he said, they killed your man. They got him. They got one of his own relations to kill him, the prince. I think it was Faisal. Was it King Faisal or Prince Faisal? Something with from the royal, from the late 1970s.
Okay.
And they killed him because he said, you know what? I'm going to put a stop to the oil going to the west till they
Mm.
sort out that conflict. They killed him.
Mm.
So there's like I listen to a lot of ex-CIA fella there. I can't take his name. He was on the Tucker. What's his name?
Oh, Tucker
Tucker
Carlson.
Carlson. He says we caused all the trouble. He says it. He says we caused it. He says Gaddafi was willing to resign. Hillary Clinton is a billionaire. Bill, what's his name? Hillary Clinton, Obama. No, they wanted him killed.
Mm.
Because Libya said that oil is ours. Because I'm not giving Gaddafi. Was like, I'm not giving Gaddafi. Okay, fair enough. You can call him a dictator. I'll say, okay, he was a dictator. He was a tough man. He killed a lot of people. He should have resigned and let someone else. There should be democracy there. But but um but sure, look at Libya now. Who's in power in Libya now?
Well, you're asking me, not a clue.
You know what I mean? But who runs it? Who has a lot of influence over there? European countries.
Mm.
Where's the oil and gas coming? They're coming here. So
Yeah,
it's a very, it's a messy world we live in, It's
100% agree with you. I do, and I do think.
it's like you're not going like it's like, do you think Micheál Martin wants this headache about immigration? Do you think he wants like thousands of people coming in every day
I
without any documentation or without any?
I actually think he does because I think it'll make their next steps that bit easier. Because
I
if you basically cause the problem, you offer the
I
solution.
I in my opinion, I don't think so because when thing went in 2000 and when the recession hit with in 2007, 8, right? Remember seven?
Mm.
Everybody, and I've been into politics since I'm a kid. I listen to you know, all the
Mm.
sides and I look into all the okay, everyone gave out about Bertie Ahern as this, he ran the country to the ground and he done this, Fianna Fáil and they're to blame, Fine Gael, blah blah blah. Recession hit, everything hit. Them boys are still in power, you know? So
Mm.
it's I'm saying that, you know, people still vote them in. They like there's
Well, yeah,
people
come here,
so
100%.
so
Like,
so it's so my we can say that they're like came out in the election where someone people give out about Simon Harris. Like 'cause I see people give out. I'm like, listen, he got 17 fucking thousand votes. John, he got more votes than any politician probably in Ireland. Any politician, he got more votes. And I'm like, I was like, the way everybody on social media, like sometimes I give it out, but I'm like, he got 17,000 votes. And then people then can't answer me. I'm like, whether you like it like that, everybody has their own. I said you can give out. Some people say, "Oh, the Healy Rays are there," but I'm like, in Kerry, people love them. They do great work. Anyone I'm from Kerry said they do great work in their area. So if you're a politician, you want to make a difference in your area. So I always see with with councillors, right?
mm.
Even in like John Lahard is a councillor for Fianna Fáil for 30 odd years. He does great work in his areas. I ask people that he's kind of Tala or Farnham area up between the two. And I ask people say, John's a great man. When you ask them to do something for us to do, they'll sort it out. If there's a problem, uh, he gets the stuff done. And it's like, same fella, Sean Crow is a politician. He's Sinn Féin and thing. He gets 11,000 people voted for him. And they said he does, great work. So I always say, there is people vote for them. People don't go to them, Sean, we have problem with immigration, we have this and that issue. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Uh, That's not people's first priority.
I do think
Like it
that's
might,
changing, though.
see,
I do think that's changing.
yeah, but it might have been your priority and my priority, but not the 10 other people. When it
Yeah, no,
comes
100, yeah, 100%.
when it
But
comes to but the problem is we need I don't know how you're going to solve. You're never going to solve immigration or refugee or blah and all these wars are going on in the Middle East. And same with the Northern of Ireland. There's open borders, whatever you like it. People in Ireland want a open border.
yeah, look, I don't think we're going to solve it here tonight, right? But I do appreciate the debate that we've had. In fairness, and you've done some great stuff for people in the country. People look up to you, and I think it's important that people have debates like this. I think it's healthy. I do think that we're probably in an area or in time where people are a little less likely to do it. At the end of the day, someone can come in and add value, more power to them. I suppose, Zach, I've kept you for an hour and a half, which again wasn't the plan. So I just want to say, come here, thanks for your time, my friend. Really appreciate it. Looking forward for this going out. And I want to say, where can people find out more about you and keep up to date with what you're doing in terms of GA, in terms of life?
Well, I always do all the things on Instagram, and so yeah,
Perfect.
Instagram usually use.
And the documentary is on the RT player, and I'll actually share the link of that when the episode goes out. So Zach, so say thanks so much for coming on, my friend. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having me. That's right.